Oh, hey guys, what's going on? It's MJ's Raw Review, and I'm coming to ya from mjfitness.au. Awesome Raw Review for the viewers at home today on another contender for Australia's strongest pre-workout from our good friends at Nexus Sports Nutrition. It is, of course, PER4M 2.0. In the house. Let's get straight into it. Show you guys exactly what's in it. Tell you exactly what it's going to do. That nutritional information panel, because the tub is so big, man, that panel is a decent sized panel, but it ain't gonna get it done. We're about to go balls deep in this here Nexus 2.0 version of PER4M. Big ass nutritional information panel appearing on screen so you guys can play along at home. Starting from the top, serving size 2 scoops, 32 grams, 16 grams per scoop. Man, these scoops are big, and you guys will see how big these scoops are when we get into the taste and mixability. 50 of those 16 gram scoops per tub, which means in a 2 scoop serve, of course, we have 25 full serves per tub. Not that many of you will be taking a full 2 scoop serve. We'll talk about that when we talk about my personal experience with the effects. In terms of what a full, we're gonna look at a full 2 scoop serve is made up of. 22.39 grams of total actives spread across 21 active ingredients. So we're dealing with 70% active ingredients and only 30% flavors, sweeteners, non-active ingredients, and the stuff that, you know, just kind of makes it taste nice, mix well, and do all that sort of cool shit. It's good for a pre-workout. We like to see usually 60% or above is good. Nexus have pushed this to 70%, and they're known for their very punchy flavors. So very, very good so far as the active to non-active ratio is concerned. In terms of what the 21 ingredients are made up of, as is tradition, we're going to look at the 6 effects that we look for in complete stimulant-based pre-workouts and see how the PER4M 2.0 stacks up against each and every one of those effects on paper. Of course, effect number 1 got to be energy. Effect number 2, nitric oxide for improved blood flow and nutrient delivery to working muscles and muscle pumps, baby. Effect number 3, muscle power and strength, of course. Effect number 4, muscular endurance. Effect number 5, Neutropic Effect, which is made up of both mental focus and elevation in mood, feeling of well-being. And effect number 6, of course, it's got to be hydration. Let's dive in. Effect number 1, energy. It says it right here on the front of the tub. Next is not here to fuck spiders when it comes to the energy, guys. They are going for the title of Australia's strongest pre-workout. And when people say strong, they're talking about the energy effect. So we have a 3-stage stimulant blend in PER4M 2.0. We have caffeine anhydrous, 500 milligrams, 500 milligrams, half a gram of caffeine. It's a shit ton of caffeine, huge dose of caffeine, massive dose of caffeine. In combination with J. regia, Juglans regia, also known as English walnut extract, 250 milligrams. Also a huge dose of English walnut extract, combined with bitter orange extract, which yields synephrine in a 30 milligram dose. That's the maximum allowable dose in Australia. There is no two ways about it. On paper, this is going to blow your head off. You're going to look like Nexi on the front here. See Nexi there? That's what you're going to look like. You take 2 scoops of this shit. Very, very intense. We get a big tick for energy. There's no denying that. Okay, effect number 2, nitric oxide for improving blood flow, muscle pumps, and nutrient delivery to working muscles. We have a massive dose of pure L-citrulline, not L-citrulline malate, pure L-citrulline, 10,000 milligrams. A clinical dose of L-citrulline is 4,000 milligrams. So Nexus have gone 2.5 times a clinical dose of pure L-citrulline. Of course, L-citrulline is a precursor to arginine, which is a precursor to nitric oxide. So we're boosting nitric oxide through the citrulline, arginine, nitric oxide pathway. A lot of it. We then have Agma Pure agmatine sulfate, 500 milligrams. That's a decent dose. We like to see agmatine at like 750 milligrams, even all the way up to a gram. You start going over a gram, you get digestive issues, but it's a nice dose of agmatine. Agmatine prevents the breakdown of excess nitric oxide. So we've got the citrulline boosting it through the citrulline arginine nitric oxide pathway. Our body then wants to bring that level of nitric oxide back down to homeostasis, and then the agmatine comes in, binds to the nitric oxide synthase enzyme that breaks down that excess nitric oxide and says, hey, hold on, man. Just pump the brakes a little bit. Let's let these pumps prolong. So it's a pump prolonging ingredient. We then have L-norvaline in a 100 milligram dose. It's quite a low dose of L-norvaline, but L-norvaline does something similar to agmatine. So there's some synergism here. Norvaline prevents the breakdown of arginine as opposed to the breakdown of nitric oxide, but more arginine, more nitric oxide. So another pump prolonging ingredient. And then finally, we've got pine bark extract, 10:1 ratio extract, 50 milligram dose. This is a very low dose of pine bark extract, but pine bark extract is a direct vasodilating ingredient. So we've got some nice synergism here. The citrulline is the main driver of boosting nitric oxide. We've got some pump prolonging ingredients, and then we've got the direct vasodilation in there as well. Effect number 2. Muscle power and strength. This is where most pre-workouts fall down at the moment, viewers at home, as you know, keen viewers of raw reviews. Nexus has 3,000 milligrams or 3 grams of creatine monohydrate for muscle power and strength. Of course, creatine is a precursor to adenosine triphosphate, which is the fuel that our body uses when it taps into the phosphate energy system to provide that energy for short, sharp muscle pumps, muscle strength, muscle power. That being said, it's not a full clinical dose. We know a full clinical dose of creatine monohydrate is 5 grams, but I think Nexus are probably caught a little bit here in the middle of the Australian regulatory structure that we have, where it's like, you know, the maximum allowable dose of creatine per serve is 3 grams because fuck knows why, but that's what they've decided. That being said, we kind of have to call a spade a spade. We have to take it at face value. It is about just over a half clinical dose of creatine monohydrate. So we can't give it a full tick. We're going to give it half a tick for muscle power and strength. So we're at 2.5 ticks out of the 3 possible. Effect number 4, muscular endurance. Now we can fire up. Beta-alanine, 5,000 milligrams. Huge dose of beta-alanine. Clinical dose, 3.2 grams. We've got 5 full grams. Beta-alanine, of course, a precursor to carnosine, which buffers fatigue toxins, hydrogen ions, and lactic acid in particular. No doubt about it, you're going to be itchy on a full 2-scoop serve of the PER4M 2.0. That's a ton of beta-alanine. In combination with taurine, 800 milligrams of taurine. That's towards the lower end of the dosage for taurine. We like to see 1 all the way up to 2 grams of taurine. We've got 0.8 grams. Taurine assists with electrolyte balance and works synergistically with beta-alanine to buffer fatigue toxins. And then we have a very cool ingredient, one of my favorite patented ingredients. It's an ingredient called Synactive. It's a couple of different extracts in a 50 milligram dose, which is the clinical study dose of Synactive. Synactive does a few different things. It helps boost performance, boost recovery, but in particular helps with endurance. So some nice synergism there. Big tick for effect number 4, muscular endurance. We move on to the Neutropic Effect, mental focus, elevation of mood, feeling of well-being. We start with 1,000 milligrams of L-tyrosine. That's a solid dose of L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine is a precursor to L-dopa, which is a precursor to dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that makes us feel all kinds of nice. Alpha GPC next up, 50% concentration of alpha GPC, 250 milligrams. So it is quite a low dose of alpha GPC. Of course, alpha GPC is a precursor to acetylcholine, which helps with mental focus. We then have L-theanine, 200 milligrams. That's a solid dose of L-theanine. L-theanine helps take the edge off stimulants, which is important when you have the amount of stimulants in PER4M 2.0. Honestly, I'd like to see like 3 or 4 times that amount of theanine, but it is a solid dose. We then have Alpinia galanga rhizome extract, 150 milligrams. Once again, a solid dose. This helps boost acetylcholine, so it works nicely with alpha GPC to boost acetylcholine, help with mental focus. We then have mesembrine in a 100 milligram dose. That's a solid dose. Natural serotonin reuptake inhibitor, so it works nicely with tyrosine on the elevation of mood, feeling well-being side of the nootropic scale. And then finally, we have Huperzia serrata, 7 milligrams. I'm going to assume this is a 1% extract because it usually is, which means we're dealing with 70 micrograms of huperzine A. Huperzine A prevents the breakdown of excess acetylcholine. So nice synergism with the alpha GPC, with the Alpinia galanga. The huperzine A helps the mental focus stick around. We're going to go a tick for mental focus, nootropic, elevation in mood, and everything nootropic there. And then finally, effect number 6, hydration. We have actually three, packaged into 2 ingredients of electrolytes here. We have sodium chloride, which is going to yield both sodium and chloride in 200 milligram dose, and then potassium citrate in a 100 milligram dose. We get a tick for hydration as well. We then also have notable mention, vitamin C, 80 milligrams, vitamin D3, 23 milligrams in each and every 2 scoop serve. Stacked. Stacked. 21 ingredients. Over 20 grams of actives in a 2 scoop serve. This is I mean, you can tell by the size of the tub. Look at this fucking tub. This is a protein tub. This is not a pre-workout tub. Where are you gonna fit this in the pre-workout section of your pantry? It's too damn big. What is it missing? You guys know we love to play devil's advocate. There are a couple of spaces in this formula where the insertion of some nice ingredients I think would add to the formula rather than take away from it. That being said, we are sitting on a solid 5.5 out of 6 ticks when we look at the 6 effects that we desirably want in a stim-based pre-workout. That half a tick is really only the muscle strength and power, where we didn't give a full tick because it's not a full clinical dose of creatine monohydrate. So the gaps are, firstly, in the nitric oxide side of things, the addition of nitrates to boost nitric oxide through the nitrate pathway would definitely tie that nitric oxide effect and make it absolutely undeniable. From a muscle power and strength perspective, obviously more creatine, but there could be regulatory issues there. So betaine or Elevate-TP or PKTP, one of those kind of trademarked, registered, patented ingredients to help boost muscle power and strength would be a nice addition. Something a little bit more for mental focus as well. I think, you know, any type of, any ingredient that yields more choline would really kind of just add more mental focus on paper to the nootropic effect. I think the mood and elevation in mood and feeling of well-being is quite well done. The mental focus, I think there's a little space to add a little bit more active ingredients in that space. Magnesium for hydration is the one key electrolyte that this formula is missing. And then finally, and this is being really picky, glycerol for hyperhydration of muscles would be a nice addition as well. So there are some bits and pieces that we could slide into this formula, but guys, it's, I mean, 5.5 out of 6, very, very solid formula on paper. In terms of how it tastes and how it mixes, infamous MJ's taste and mixability test about to go down. Double wall glass, MJ shaker. Couple of things here. So, firstly, at the time of shooting this raw review, there is one and only one flavor, and that is this here sour blue raspberry, inspired by sour straps, sour blue straps, of course. Now, I'm just going to read a little email exchange that I have had with Adam, one of the owners of Nexus, because I was asking, what are we doing here in terms of what am I talking about in this raw review with the flavors? We've only got the one. What's the intention? So we're going to pop it up on screen. I'm going to read you guys through it. So Adam says, PER4M 2.0 is unique in the fact that we are not holding it the same way we do our regular product lines. It will run out. This is something we have never tried before. Essentially, we are going to be dropping a set number of limited drops per year. These will be announced ahead of time. And if they do anything like the current launch of PER4M 2.0, this one right here, they will sell out quickly and won't be back. The Perform 2.0 Blue Sour Straps was our first run at this. As we are halfway through the year, we have a couple additional drops that we are looking to finish off 2025. But once these are completed, we will announce the completion of Perform 2.0 in 2025, and our customers will have to wait until 2026. At this stage, each new drop will be launched as a new flavor. What do we make of this? Well, probably by the time this raw review goes live, you won't be able to get the Blue Sour Straps. So this taste and mixability test may be a waste of time. If you feel that way, just fast forward to the point where I talk about the effects. If not, it means that when Nexus drop different flavors of Perform 2.0, you got to be fast because they are going to sell out very quick. They are limited edition. You can even see on the front of this tub, what number we got here? Number 2617, and it says on the label here as well, Nexus exclusive Perform 2.0 is limited edition launch with only 3,850 tubs being made. So limited, once they're gone, they're gone. Don't fuck around. If you want a tub, get a tub. Infamous taste and mixability test about to go down. Now, what I'm going to do, as always with our ridiculous, dumb regulations in Australia, the directions tell you to use way too much water because of the caffeine concentration per litre. So I'm going to use half the amount. So it says on here, 1 scoop in 800 mils of water. We got 400 mils of water. I'm going to take 1 scoop and 400 mils of water. That's how I suggest you guys, if the TGA is watching this, close your ears. That's how I suggest you guys mix up your Perform 2.0 to get the flavor that I think Nexus intend you to have. So just half the amount of water, don't stress. No one's gonna die, everyone's gonna be just fine. Okay, first and foremost, I do have to point out that a level scoop right here, that looks like that. That's a level scoop. It's supposed to weigh 16 grams. It actually weighs about 18. So it's over by, quick maths, 12.5%. That's a big fucking deal because if you're doing a full 2 scoop serve, you're expecting to get 2 level scoops should be 32 grams. It's actually gonna be 36 grams. So instead of getting 500 milligrams of caffeine, you're going to be getting closer to 600 milligrams of caffeine. So the point is, make sure that your scoops are a little bit under. So I'm going to take that level scoop. I'm just going to drop a 12.5% out there. And that's going to be much closer to that 16 gram scoop that we're looking for. All right, 400 mils of water in the MJ shaker. Take my little under level scoop, drop it in there. Let it rain, let it rain. A few flicks of the wrist. Let me show you guys how it mixes and then refresh my memory on how the Blue Sour Straps, never to be repeated flavor of Nexus Perform 2.0 tastes. I had it this morning, so it still is fresh in my mind. As you can see, it does froth up a fair bit in a shaker. A couple of minutes and that froth's going to come down. But let's take a look at this mixability right here. It's good. It's very, very good. I will say that if I do let the glass sit there for a little bit, you will get some sinkers. I'm going to assume that's probably the creatine monohydrate. It's because it's not a lot. That being said, turbo ball is required for this here Nexus Perform 2.0 Blue Sour Straps. Sour blue raspberry going down. Oh, it's very sour. Oh, it does that thing where like you do this with your lips because it's so sour, like it sucks the moisture out of your mouth. Very sour. I'll be honest with you guys. I've been training on Perform 2.0 pretty much exclusively for the last couple of weeks. The first time I had it, because I train first thing in the morning. very early in the morning. The first time I had it, it like punched me in the face, the flavor. I was like, fuck, that has got to be one of the most sour flavor pre-workouts I've ever had. Once you get past the initial, look, if you like sour things, you're going to fucking love it. For me, it's a little bit intense on the sourness, but once you get past the sourness, it's actually a really nice flavor. As is tradition with Nexus, their flavors are very punchy, very powerful. Like their sweet flavors are super sweet, their sour flavors are super sour. They just don't fuck around, and they really have done a typical Nexus job, I would say, of the sour blue raspberry in the Nexus PER4M 2.0. I need to put it away because if I keep drinking it, I'm going to have another 250 milligrams of caffeine. I'm sufficiently caffeinated. This morning I trained on the PER4M 2.0. My body has a percentage of caffeine still floating around, so we need to pump the brakes. All right, in terms of the effects. So I've done a few things here. I started with half a scoop, and I just wanted to just kind of see, just dip my toe in the water, just see, you know, what's going on here. I then moved straight, I did that for one workout, then I moved straight to one scoop. And I trained on one scoop for, I reckon it was 3 or 4 sessions. And then I bumped up to 1.5 scoops, and I trained on 1.5 scoops for like 3 or 4 sessions. And then I did 1 session on 2 scoops. I really didn't want to, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for the purposes of real review, I will be the guinea pig and tell you guys what happened. All right. 0.5 scoops, first workout. Just dipped my toe in, wanted to see what it was all about. Little boost in energy, little boost in muscle pumps, muscular endurance, little boost in mental focus. Nothing to write home about, but it was actually not too bad in you know, as a little kind of pick me up pre-workout. Half a scoop, not too bad. 1 scoop. Now this is where it got interesting. The energy was very hard hitting, comes on very quick, not too intense in a 1 scoop, but came on very, very quickly, lasted the entire workout, which I did not expect. Pumps were very good and hang around for quite some time, not the whole workout, but I could definitely tell that like once I got a pump, it was sticking around. Power, non-existent. Endurance was really, really good in a 1 scoop serve. Mental focus was pretty much non-existent in a 1 scoop serve. There was a little mental focus, but it was really nothing noticeable. I think it was more just the stimulant effect. Mood was actually noticeable and was quite pleasant. And then hydration, you don't really notice hydration. So that was 1 scoop. So I did that for 3 or 4 workouts. Then I went up to 1.5. 1.5, the energy was very hard hitting and very intense. It was almost at the point where like when I got to the 1.5 scoops, I was like, oh fuck, this is really kind of pushing the edge of what I'm comfortable with in terms of like stimulatory effect for my pre-workout. So the 1.5 scoops was crazy intense for me personally. The pumps were very, very good and hung around for pretty much the entire workout. That was for me, I was like, fuck, this is impressive from a pumps and a prolonging pumps perspective. Power, once again, pretty much also non-existent. I really didn't get any noticeable increase in strength or power output, or just not really that feeling strong in the gym. The endurance was very, very good. Every workout that I did on the 1.5 scoops, I just, like my intensity just did not drop off for the entire workout. So the PER4M 2.0 went in, I got into the gym, I started working out, and I just fucking smashed it for 90 minutes of my workout. Very, very good. Mental focus at 1.5 scoops was definitely noticeable. Once again, nothing to write home about, but at the 1.5, it definitely started to kick in. I was like, okay, cool. I feel a little bit more focus here. I feel a little bit more of that kind of little bit of tunnel vision type, you know, I'm in the zone type feeling. Mood was pleasant, but it's interesting the difference from 1 to 1.5 scoops, because when I went to 1.5 scoops, it's almost like I couldn't really experience the elevation in mood because I was a little bit too hyped up on the stims. So I think the balance of like stims to nootropics at 1.5 scoops for me personally started to skew towards the side of the stims rather than nootropics. And then hydration, once again, is hydration. Now 2 scoops. So I did one workout on 2 scoops. I really didn't want to. I was very nervous about it. I was nervous about the night before, to be honest. I was like, I don't know, like, do I not sleep tonight? Just let PER4M 2.0 do its thing. Look, I've been very open over the years of doing raw reviews that for me, like my limit for caffeine in a single dose is like 300 milligrams, especially when it's synthetic caffeine. When it's caffeine anhydrous, you push me over 300 milligrams and I start to get like, it's like a bell-shaped curve for me. It's like, it goes up, 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 up. I hit 300 milligrams and then it starts coming back down. It goes down very quickly. The day that I trained on 2 scoops, I actually can't remember what happened. It was way too strong for me. I remember being very nervous at the end of my shaker when I was like, okay, cool, I've drunk about a scoop now. Now I've drunk 1.5 scoops worth, and as I'm finishing my shaker, I'm like, okay, cool, this is the full 2 scoop serve. And then I just kind of waited because I wanted to see what would happen if I like teleported somewhere or some shit. What did happen was just way too strong for me personally. And I knew that going in, that's why I was nervous about it. But my heart was like very strongly beating out of my chest. And I remember the whole workout. I trained, it was a chest and arms workout. And I just remember the whole workout, just trying to stay focused on like staying calm. I was just like, fuck, I need to just focus on like bringing my heart rate down as much as possible and just not bouncing off the walls. Just doing all kinds of weird shit. So for me, the 2 scoop serve was way too much. I think that speaks volumes for how strong this pre-workout is. And I think, you know, Nexus in their marketing are marketing it as the strongest pre-workout in the Australian marketplace at this point in time. You know, I'm not sure if it does get that title. There's obviously a few products that are in the mix there at the moment, but it is a very strong pre-workout. And in a 2 scoop serve, if you want that feeling, and I know some of you like that feeling, for me it's too much, but some of you want that feeling where like you take your pre-workout and you just fucking off your head. If you like that feeling, Nexus PER4M 2.0 will definitely give you that feeling. In terms of the side effects, firstly, don't take it on an empty stomach. 32 grams of actives in a full 2 scoop serve is a lot of active ingredients. Make sure you've got something in your stomach, or there's a chance that it will upset, well, not even a chance, it's definitely gonna upset your stomach if you take it on an empty stomach. Please don't dry scoop this fucking thing. Come on. Surely we're past that shit now. No dry scooping. Please, never. And then finally, a 2 scoop serve is very strong. So for most people, 1 scoop to 1.5 is going to be more than enough. If you do decide to venture to the 2 scoops, just, you've been warned. Stackability, do not stack it with any other stimulant at all whatsoever. If you do want to stack it, it's going to stack nicely with a product that fills in the gaps that we spoke about so far as what it's missing on paper with the formula. So something that has nitrates, fantastic. A stim-free that touches on the muscle power and strength effect, fantastic. Aside from that, I really just wouldn't really mess with stacking it at all. Just take it by itself. What does it compare to? Usually in raw reviews, I take 2 products and compare the product in the raw review to 2 products that are kind of similar. Let's cut the bullshit. We know which product Nexus has gone after with PER4M 2.0. So let's go straight there. PER4M 2.0 versus Zombie Labs End of Days. Look at them. They're practically twins. They're best friends, or worst enemies. I'm not too sure. All right, let's see how they stack up. End of Days. Energy is very similar to PER4M 2.0. I've done a raw review on End of Days. You guys know that I did a very similar personal experimentation with End of Days as I did with PER4M 2.0. Half a scoop, 1 scoop, 1.5 scoops, 2 scoops. Both of them in 2 scoop serve almost fucking killed me. So I'm happy I'm still here. But the energy is very similar in both of them. The only difference really from a stimulation perspective is PER4M 2.0 does have more caffeine. It has about 8% more caffeine, or 460 milligrams to 500 milligrams. At that level of caffeine, you really don't fucking notice. It's just so much caffeine that, you know, an extra 8%, 10% is, it's unnoticeable. It makes really no difference. So the energy across both is very similar. End of Days pumps are very similar, but PER4M 2.0 hangs around a little longer. For me, that was very noticeable. End of Days, the pumps come on and then they go. PER4M 2.0, the pumps come on and they stay. That was a big noticeable difference for me. In End of Days, the power is non-existent. There's really only B vitamins from a muscle power perspective. PER4M 2.0 has the underdosed amount of creatine, but still the strength and power is, look, it's a little better in PER4M, I guess, if you're gonna split hairs, but it is in both of them, the effect that is significantly missing across both. End of Days endurance is very similar to PER4M 2.0. The focus in End of Days, I personally found, was slightly better than PER4M 2.0. However, the mood in PER4M 2.0, up until about the 1.5 scoop, was a little better than End of Days. It's once again, it's kind of splitting hairs between these two, but I think the balance of overall nootropic effect, so mental focus, elevation and mood, feeling of well-being in End of Days, in relation to the stimulants in End of Days, is slightly better balanced than the effect that I got when I trained on the same dose of PER4M 2.0. Hydration in both of them is very similar. I think the actual electrolytes are almost identical. End of Days has 5 flavors. So they've just launched flavor number 5 like a few days ago. 5 flavors, and they're not doing the limited release. So you can get any of those 5 flavors. I think when they first launched, they did a limited release, but then brought it back. So you can get any of those 5 flavors at any time that you want. All 5 flavors are very easy to drink across the board. They're definitely not on like the level of potency that Nexus flavors are renowned for being. They're just easy to drink type flavors, whereas the sour blue raspberry is a super sour, super punch you in the face type flavor. So far as price and number of serves is concerned, they're both the same price. They're both the number of serves. They've done the 50 scoops, 25 serves. So it's identical across the board. Very difficult to split these two products. Very difficult. I think really it comes down to 3 elements. I think if pumps and power are more important to you, I would go PER4M 2.0. If focus and overall nootropic effect in relation to the stimulant effect is more important to you, I would go End of Days. And then finally, and we'll see how this plays out as time goes on, if getting the flavor that you want, when you want to be able to get it, is important to you, I would go End of Days, because all 5 flavors are available all the time, bar out of stocks and inventory issues. Whereas Nexus have been very open about the fact that like they're doing 1 flavor at a time, it's limited release, it's got a fucking number on it, and once it's gone forever. So, you know, the bad side of that is if you really like the sour blue raspberry, you can't come back and get another tub. So catch you later. I really think that's the only way you can split these 2 products. Very similar products, notably very, very good products. You really can't go wrong if you're in the market for a very high stim pre-workout across both of them, but that's how they compare. Back to the star of this show, Nexus PER4M 2.0. Who is it best for? Anyone who's looking for a very strong pre-workout, viewers at home, that delivers great pumps, great endurance, nice mental focus effect, good hydration, ticks 5.5 out of the 6 boxes that you're looking for. And most importantly, you just want a very strong pre-workout. If you want a very, very strong pre-workout, Nexus PER4M 2.0 is your ticket. Price and value for money in the Australian marketplace, $89 for the 50 scoop, 25 2 scoop serve. It breaks out at just under $1.80 per scoop, just under $3.60 per serve. It's expensive per tub. It's an expensive pre-workout. 89 bucks for a tub of pre-workout is expensive for a pre-workout, but it really is great value. And especially considering most of you are not going to be taking 2 scoops. You're going to be taking 1 to 1.5. So you're not going to get 25 serves. You're going to get like 35 to 40 serves. And then the price per serve starts coming back down and actually represents really, really good value for money. Guys, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the MJ Fitness YouTube channel. Stay up to date with all the latest videos we've got happening here, including all these new Raw reviews, everything else we've got happening on the channel. Guys, that is MJ's Raw review on the all-new Nexus PER4M 2.0 in the house. And I'm coming to you from mjfitness.au.